Alrighty, today we're going to make our own homemade chalk paint with just a few ingredients that you may already have in your cabinet. So let's get to it. Alright, first thing you're going to do is use unsanded grout. That has to be unsanded. Now there are other things you can use for this. I'm pretty sure you can use baking soda, plaster of Paris. There's a couple different things you can use. There's a bunch of recipes on YouTube and Pinterest. But I'm using unsanded grout. You really should use white, I guess, so that it doesn't affect your paint. Mine is biscuit color, because that's all they had. And I think this was like $7 or something. And you need 2 tablespoons of the unsanded grout. Put that in your little container. And then add water, just like you were making pancake batter. And you want it to be about the consistency of pancake batter, or paint. And you keep stirring it until there's no clumps in it, just as if you were making pancakes. And it's going to vary. You might, it kind of looks a little bit too watery, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the grout. And then you just mix it in really, really good. You don't want to have any clumps in there, because once you dump this in the paint, the clumps will be in the paint, and then while you're painting it onto your project, it'll look like little puffs of flour in your paint. You don't want to do that. Alright, so I've got probably about half a cup of paint here. And 2 tablespoons of this grout mix usually would work for about a cup of paint. So you just want to pour a little bit of this in here, or half of this mixture in here. And mix it up really, really, really good. And once you mix chalk paint up, it doesn't have a lot of wait time as far as sitting in the air. It dries a whole lot quicker than regular paint. So, alright. It's still going to look the same. You're not really going to notice any difference at this point. And then you paint your surface. Alright, I'm going to mix up the rest of my colors with the grout. Now I'm going to have to make another batch for my last color. I want all my coasters to be different colors. And then I'm going to put a coat of paint on all the other ones. Shit, we forgot to tell them they need sandpaper. So now we're going to stencil some little decorations on here. Make sure they're all going the same way, with your raw cut. And they are. So, I'm going to get my stencil brush. And I need to pick a color that I'm going to stencil on there with. Little round stencil brush. They're dirt cheap at Walmart. Get a whole pack of little artist brushes for maybe or $5, and there's usually one of these in there. And then I kind of blot it off a little bit on some paper. Hold your stencil on there, center it as best as you can. Doesn't really matter. You know, I don't really care if it's centered. And then you just dab straight up and down. And lift it. I like to switch stencils if I have to, because that one's still a little bit wet and I don't really want it to smear onto my next one. It doesn't really matter if it does smear, because we're going to run some sandpaper over this, which I forgot to tell you, you're going to need sandpaper, but you'll need just a little piece of sandpaper. And I don't really get too crazy about this. Like right here, I got a little bit of paint on there. I'm not even going to try to wipe it off, because sanding it will either fade it, take it off, or just make it add to it. So then you let that dry. Back to the fireplace. Uh-oh, you know what that means. Should have got. I'm sorry. This part's about as boring as watching paint dry. They're dry! Just kidding. Only one of them was dry. So we'll just get to working on the one. Okay, I know I told you that you just needed a piece of sandpaper. That's all you need if that's all you have. But since I have this, I'm going to use this. I'm going to sand the edges, and then I'm going to lightly go over the top of it. But I'll just sand the edges, and then I'll show you how I go over the top with just a regular piece of sandpaper. And then go over the top of it. Scrape it up, make it look like it's been used. I guess if you use the electric sander on this part, it would probably take off a little too much. And don't be afraid. Do it. If you mess it up, throw it in the fire and make another one. Who cares? It was free. Okay, I got it to where I like it, and with chalk paint, I know using the word chalk, people think of chalkboard. You can make chalkboard paint out of this. You just have to add a lot more of the grout to the paint. The more grout you add to it, the chalkier the surface is. When you put the paste wax on it, which is what we're going to do next, first of all, it gives it a deeper, darker, richer look, and it also protects it. If you want to set a glass on it, yeah, it might make a ring on it for an hour or so, but it'll eventually fade away. It protects it. The water won't soak into it. It'll bead. So now we're going to put the paste wax on. Okay, and if you want to give these as a gift, that's the reason why I told you to grab some twine. If you don't have any, you can use ribbon, whatever. But just stack them up. Put them on the twine. Make a little cut. Tie them up. Actually, I did that wrong. Outtake, turn them over. Crisscross. Then over. And tie them in a... All done! Now, if you do this and make some of your own, share it with me. Let me know in the comments right over here. And like it right down here. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.